This is the weekly news from the studios of Goat TV. Headlines today: the flight MH17 downed in Ukraine. The terrible unfolding events continue. Events in Israel and Palestine continue to shock the world. World forgets about the war in Syria and Iraq. Other news headlines: terrible events still in Nigeria. The world has completely forgotten about events there. Other news: the Commonwealth Games to be opened in Glasgow very shortly, and an important discovery, archaeological discovery up north concerning the Romans. The flight, the MH17 today, and the news concerning it tells a very bleak picture. The bleak picture in that we don't know exactly the full chain of events because there seems to be some kind of cover-up. The world blames Russia. The bodies of 280 victims are slowly making their way all the way back to their home countries. Victims from Europe, Australasia and elsewhere in the world will be repatriated soon. The disaster of the situation is that people watch as the baggage of those that were on board is illegally opened by individuals at the site. See the scene: a relative who has died on the crash. You look down at the film footage and you see that somebody's got one of your relative's bags and opens that bag and scatters all your relative's belongings onto the grass of the Ukraine. The situation needs to be resolved, so next week we'll be able to report further on that. My heart goes out to all the victims and their families, the 298 victims. Also, what we see in Israel and Palestine is the unfolding situation. The unfolding situation is there doesn't seem to be any resolution. Israel, on the one hand, says that it's been constantly attacked by Hamas. Hamas, obviously, we see hundreds of victims, up to about 500 today, innocent Palestinian victims, killed by tank and rocket attacks from the Israelis. The Israelis have, outstandingly, the most amount of armaments of any country in the Middle East, supplied by the United States. There's not going to be a winner in the conflict. The West fails to take action. Viewers of this will be wondering of the unfolding situation still in Syria and Iraq and other Middle Eastern countries. And the question has to be answered: why is the West completely ignoring what's going on in these countries? Surely the West has caused the problems in Syria and Iraq. But our attentions go to other news, so rightly. But we cannot ignore of the events in Syria and Iraq. We haven't seen any news reports for the past few weeks. And that is obviously making sure that the viewers watch a certain type of news, a certain biased news. So every week, through Goat TV, we'll be doing a news report such as this. Interestingly enough, no news either of the innocent teenagers that were taken in Nigeria. We don't know of their fate. The West has forgotten that as well. But on the bright side, we see Glasgow and the opening of the Commonwealth Games. The opening of the Commonwealth Games will see 17 games with over 70 Commonwealth countries competing at the Commonwealth Games being held in Glasgow. It's believed to be one of the most outstanding Commonwealth Games ever held, and it brings together political foes in a friendly atmosphere, and that's what we see as Glasgow. Also, up north today, we see at Binchester, we actually see the archaeological discovery of the greatest Roman military bathhouse ever discovered in Great Britain. The remains are 7 foot in height, and it's believed that you can walk amongst the ruins with the Roman walls up to head height. So these are believed to be the best preserved Roman remains in Britain, and they've been hidden under the surface for the past 1,900 years. Wonderful achievement for the archaeologists up there. For those who wish to see other news items, write in on the YouTube account. This is Karl-James Langford reporting on the 21st of June 2014, and thanks for listening to Goat News.